Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the conversation. So, firstly, thank you so much for the response from last week. It's been incredible. And when we spoke to so many of you, we've had so many interesting conversations, and we had to prepare a little bit more for today. And as we prepared a little bit more for today, we spoke to even more people. And let's just say, I've never been more nervous before an episode of Life, Love, and Lipidemia. My guest, Jasmine, she's never been more nervous. And from all the conversations we've had, let's just say we are worried. We are really, really worried. And today, let's talk about it. Welcome to the 10th episode of Life, Love, and Lipidemia. Hello, Jasmine. Welcome. Wow, everyone, thank you for joining us. If you're here, drop us a message in the chat box, whether you're on Facebook or whether on YouTube. Just say hi so that we know that you are here. And if you're new, please subscribe to our channel. The link is right at the bottom. And on our channel, we have incredible interviews, learning from the best practices from some of the most incredible people that we know, and to gain some insights on how we can better present ourselves as professionals and how we think about things. Hi, Jocelyn. Thanks for joining us. The past week has been pretty overwhelming. It's something I've never experienced before, ever since our last episode where we came to talk about all these topics that it's not that we don't talk about it, right? We always talk about it, but not so openly. And it's always in the after work conversations where we have dinner and then we talk about all these things and you complain about it. Now we are really going to share all these things. I mean, the past week has been incredible. More than 1,500 views of that interview. Not so much an interview, right? It's more of a conversation. And more than the views, more than the statistics, it's really the conversation that's generated, the comments, the emails, the messages, the LinkedIn connections, the LinkedIn conversations. Over the past week, I've had 5 or 6 like face-to-face conversations with people who have viewed it and wanted to ask us more about the content. Has it been the same for you?
For me?
Yeah.
I guess for me, actually, after sharing so much, I honestly didn't expect the response to be so good. I never really had much people reach out to me.
Mhm.
And it was really nice to connect with some of the young pharmacists or aspiring pharmacists who are still students, that they were saying like, oh, we didn't know that there's so much things that pharmacists can do. And there's so much areas that we can look into. And it's okay to look beyond pharmacy. There was one of them who said, I'm actually interested in moving on to something that's not pharmacy. Yet at the same time, I really love patient care and I don't know if like it's something that I want to give up. And really the advice to her is that she's a very young pharmacist. And I'm like, don't give up, right? Experience what it's like delivering patient care. Experience the full satisfaction of it before going on to something else. And you know when to move on when you will just know when it's time to move on. It's time to move on to the next chapter to learn something new. And to me, that's how I move in my different as I move on to my different careers. And it's something that one of the constant messages that I share with the younger pharmacists is that don't rush your learning. Take your time to learn. There is no rush that you need to be like someone spectacular in 10 years' time. It is your own timeline. And that's something that should mean a lot to you.
Do you think we are generally impatient?
Yes. I mean, the reason why, we are all high achievers, right? A lot of people who entered pharmacy entered with good grades, and it's because we are high achievers, right? And if you're a high achiever, you tend to be impatient. And I understand that. But what has taught me when I entered working life, I always wanted to hurry up, just do it, just do it, just do it. But it is the process that you need to enjoy. It's the process you need to experience. And it's something we need to do. You need to step back, and take a look at what you have done.
Did you notice that, I don't know what it's like for you, but for me, most of the people that contacted me are actually the really young ones, like the young, young by age for sure. You think about how long we've been working. But some of them are first-year pharmacists, some of them are pre-reg, some of them are going into pre-reg, which is starting tomorrow.
Yeah.
Welcome to our life. And some of them are actually students who are wondering about some of these things that we see as professionals. Why do you think it's mostly the young ones that contact us?
I think it's because there is that level of excitement, that level of anticipation as you're moving on to pre-reg or you're still a young pharmacist. What else can I do? I mean, when we first started, right, we were excited about the things we do. Of course, we complain that our preceptor keep asking for this and this, and then we still have to do all sorts of assignments. Of course, we complain about that.
No work-life balance.
No work-life balance, no protected time, so angry. Every time ask me to do so much things, and then I don't even have enough sleep. But I think it's the excitement you see. You're still excited about learning how to be a pharmacist. And it's with this excitement that you want to know whether or not there are more opportunities out there. And I think that's one of the reasons why they also approach us and talk to us about it. I'm not sure whether if it's because people in our batch or within the same generation are perhaps a bit jaded, especially if you've been in the same company or the same institution your entire life. I mean, for me and Sean, we haven't been in the same area for a long period of time. It's very hard. It's a bit more difficult for us to feel jaded because every chapter we enter into is new excitement.
Yeah.
And we continue to generate that excitement. And
don't you think that one of those things is that we stay long enough in a particular area to experience it fully before deciding whether or not to move on?
Yep, I do. And that's why it's you will know when it's time to move. If you don't know when it's time, if you feel like you're not ready, honestly, you're not ready. If you have a hesitation, you're not ready. If you know that, you know what, I have learned whatever I want to learn, it's not what you have to learn, it's what you want to learn. What you want to learn in your career, and it's time to move on to the next chapter, you'll know.
One of the things that very commonly I hear from some of the people who contact me also, it's, they go down to the YouTube channel and they take a look at other videos. And one of the things that a number of the people who have contacted me, they want to talk about is actually about finding your niche. Because a lot of people think you have to specialize in something, you have to find your area, your niche. And they refer to our episode 3, I think. Episode 3 was about how to find your niche in pharmacy, and that's with our friend Raymond. Incredible episode. Did you watch it?
Yeah, I did. Of course, we're all in the same clique. How can I not support my friend? But
what do you think about it?
I've honestly felt that Raymond took a very different route. And it all first started in year 1 when he told me and Felicia to take intro to computing because it's so easy. It was not easy because IT is so not our thing. But then you realize that what he was exceptional at and how he cultivated it as he entered into the pharmacy profession is amazing. Why I say that it's amazing is because he entered into an area that not many people are able to specialize in, just because either you don't have interest in IT, like me, or be like IT idiot like me. Honestly, if without Raymond, I wouldn't have survived NUS Pharmacy. Because I didn't even print my own notes.
Oh, so bad.
Yeah, because he was always helping us with so much. And I really realized it when I started work. But what was good about him is that he can provide a dual perspective. And when the dual perspectiveness of it, it's as a healthcare professional, he knows what a healthcare professional needs.
Yeah.
Right? And what needs to be put into the system and what cannot be put into the system because it just doesn't work for healthcare professional. You put 10,000 pop-up notifications for the doctor, he's just going to close them all, right?
Yeah.
And from the system's perspective, if you say that I just want to put in this button, is it something that's so simple? Which part of the chain does it affect? The whole chain of events, how does it
It
impact? Where
reminds
does
me
it
of last
impact?
time in community where we have our cashier system, right?
Yeah.
Then for us on the ground, you say, hey, why so complicated to find a particular promo? So difficult for IT to just put a button in, man.
Yeah, yes.
You talk to the IT people and they say, wow, you think one button so easy? I just put in. And so all of these things, about finding your niche, great topic to explore. So head on to the channel and take a look at it. It's episode 3. And if you want to talk to Raymond, just feel free to drop him a message. I mean, we are really happy to talk about our work and our experience and share some lessons that we've learned. And you can be sure we'll be very real with you about it. Now, our experience was slightly different. Jasmine and I, we started off in community. For me, most of you would know, was at Unity Pharmacy, a retail community chain. And Jasmine was at the polyclinic, right, Jasmine?
Yep.
And Jasmine and I go a pretty long way back. And it was I was at Toa Payoh Unity Pharmacy, right at the MRT. Jasmine was at Toa Payoh Polyclinic. Right? So coincidental, like two of us working in the same area. And it's pretty funny because sometimes you have a patient who would go to her and the patient would say, wow, why waiting time so long? And she'll be like, oh, you want a quicker waiting time? Or just go to Unity at Toa Payoh. And then the patient will come to me and they say, hey, how come you're so expensive? And then I will say, oh, you want a better price? Oh, you can go to Toa Payoh Polyclinic. Yeah, so, but I would say the most important thing really is the relationship that you form. Of course, Jasmine and I are good friends, but we have a very, very, very good professional working relationship. And I think that it's critical to do that, not just for your friends. It's helpful to have friends, but especially if you're just starting out, you really want to think about how you can build relationships with people. Because imagine if I have something to ask a doctor or the pharmacist. It's impossible to call through the main line sometimes. And let's not kid ourselves, say our line is always open. No, you're really busy. You have so many things to think about. You have patients to serve. You have customers. It's not possible. But it's helpful to have a friend when you have a direct line.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, when you think back on your time in community, I mean, what would you say you enjoyed most about it?
I think when I chose to go to the polyclinics and the community was because I really enjoyed patient engagement. And when I was posted at Toa Payoh Polyclinic, initially I was a bit upset because I live in Hougang then. So now you tell me I go to Toa Payoh. There's the Hougang Polyclinic. Why can't you just post me out? That kind of. But then it was more about like when you work in Toa Payoh Polyclinic, there is a large elderly population. There is no such thing as a queue for elderly. The queue is horizontal. It's never vertical. It's all at your counter, right? And it was a very interesting process. You're like, oh my God, how do you tell the uncle, auntie to like queue up? They don't even understand. And then they stand in front of each other. Why you cut my queue? And it was a very interesting experience, what it's like working with the elderly. And I guess one of my most memorable experience was actually when I was a first-year pharmacist. And I was teaching this elderly how to use an inhaler. She came up, I was in the counseling room with her, and she was saying, and I was teaching how to use it. And then after I taught her, she cried. Then I was like, Siala, pre-reg didn't teach me what to do when a patient cries, What do you do when someone cries in front of you? Then you're like, this person's not exactly my friend. I cannot like, yeah, okay, nah, It's a very different, it was a very shocking experience for me. And then she, in between her crying and her sobs, she was sharing that she never had someone spend so much time with her. And she was sad that she didn't have a good relationship with her family. And because of that, no one really wanted to spend time with her. And the most amount of time she spends with a person is in a polyclinic. the time she spends talking to the patient service associate, the time she spends talking to the doctor, to the pharmacist, and then you realize that actually the importance of such a conversation, the kind of relationship they have with you. And you think about it, when you form this kind of relationship with them, they're more likely to remember what you say. So when they remember what you say, they're more likely to follow your advice. And it was very, very heartwarming. Yes, you had patients shout at you, scream at you. I ever had someone to hit me with a walking stick for taking so long. But it's experiences like this that remind you what is so awesome about being a community pharmacist.
Yeah. Well, what do you not enjoy about it? I'm sure not everything is nice, right?
Yeah, of course, I didn't enjoy the hurry up, my God, the whole board is red already. You have to hurry up, you have to finish, clear up the patients, waiting time, rushing, all that, doctors screaming at you because you keep calling them. Sometimes it's not that they are angry with you calling them, but it's just that they have so many patients. And then you're just another person interrupting them when they're trying to do something. And that experience really wasn't what I enjoyed about it. By the end of it, after you work with your team and go through all this shit, really, you actually realize that we did it together as a team. And I love the team spirit of the polyclinic. Honestly, when being part of the team is very, very important for me. It's not that I don't like to work independently, but I enjoy having the type of satisfaction that you can have when you have done a piece of work together.
Wow, okay, thank you. Hey, when we have some people who have joined us. Lakshmi, hi. TM Foreign from YouTube. Whoever you are, hello.
It's
hi.
My friend from
Your
Norway.
friend?
Hi, Magnus.
Nice.
And my ex-colleague, Charlotte. Hi, Charlotte.
Hello, Charlotte. Serena's my mom. Hello, mommy. Hi, Cherry. Guan Hin, Saifu, our dear radiographer. Okay, thank you everyone for joining us today. So when we talk about community pharmacy, right, I think it's fair to say that the mood isn't the best at this point in time. Right, there's COVID, there's lots of things that we have to deal with. My colleagues, my friends have to deal with. It's not easy, and let's go straight into it. Right, people say there's no future for the pharmacy profession in community, and well, and when I think about something like that, what comes to mind is community pharmacies start to feel less useful than they used to feel in the past. Because for those of you who might not be aware, in Singapore, there are 3 classifications of drugs, 3 legal classifications, right? A POM, prescription-only medicine, is something that a doctor has to prescribe before it can be dispensed. Then the next level is what we call the pharmacy-only medicine, of which if you want to purchase these medicines, you have to go to a pharmacist, produce some ID, and if the pharmacist thinks it's the correct product for you, they will dispense it. The third classification is what we call GSL, or General Sales List. And a General Sales List product is essentially anybody can sell it. All right? If you open a mama shop downstairs at your void deck, you can sell it. There's a huge number of products moving down from pharmacy only to General Sales List. And that means there are more products that a customer or a patient can purchase without having to seek a pharmacist's opinion or control. But on the other hand, the number of products that are coming down from prescription only to pharmacy only doesn't quite match, which means that there will come a point in time where there will be no pharmacy only products, and therefore no patients have to go to a pharmacist to get the medicine. And I think this becomes a problem, because if you are the type of pharmacist in community that stands behind the counter and waits for someone to approach you, in time to come, you will have nobody approaching you, because they don't have to approach you. Right? Why would someone approach you That's because they trust in you, they trust in your service, they trust in the relationship. So the onus then, I think it's on pharmacists to not just be behind the counter, but really step up. Now, these are things that we are taught right from the very first day in community, that you have to step up and serve. But it's never been more critical, because now your shelf is starting to get more and more empty. If you don't go out and advise somebody, your role is essentially diminished. And that, I think, is the problem with being a passive pharmacist. You know, what do you think? I mean, is there really no future for community pharmacists?
I think we can't just look at the issue of deregulation as something that's just a vendetta against the pharmacist. It's not. Pharma companies want the deregulation also because by improving the accessibility to the medications, they earn more money. That's a fact. And that's something that we need to understand. That pharma companies can't have a losing business. If there's opportunity to earn more money, of course they will earn more money. But then when you think about it, you say that you want to deregulate prescription-only medicines to pharmacy-only medicines. My question to you is, which medicines are these? Have you identified them? Have you taken a look at other countries, and that's why these prescription-only medicines should fall into the pharmacy-only range? And then I also want to ask you, why do you think they should be deregulated? What exactly puts you in a better position to dispense this medication to a patient, to provide better advice than a doctor? Why? Is it because there's more opportunities that the patient will have with you in requesting for such a medication, or some opportunity where you can offer such a medication? These things you might have to ask. And if you have answered all these questions, which can be answered independently because you can do your own literature review and stuff, you ask yourself, how do you then facilitate this deregulation? It is not HSA's job. It is not MOH's job. The person who knows most about the community is you. The person who knows what a patient needs is you. You are the community pharmacist, you are the face. You are the person that knows the best. What would HSA know? They come and check your retail pharmacy every once in a while because that's part of your licensing requirement. But do they know what patient wants? And if you feel that there's really a need to shift something from POM to P only, because there's been requests for it, and you see that there's value in it, and you don't see that patient safety is compromised if you are the one dispensing it, then what are you doing about it? You think that doctors are given privileges just because they're doctors and they're entitled to it. You don't see the things that they do in order to get what they want. How they speak to different people in the ministry, different agencies, to share their ideas, to create awareness, to help people think about it, have a thought about it. Oh, yes, this is something that I should look into because as doctors, I feel that this is something that's very important to me. Yes, it may start off as one person who's complaining, but you realize, and we also realize from our sessions, right? A lot of people share the same complaints. People have the same feedback. And if you're afraid to speak up, why not everyone do it together? And I think it is like when I mentioned the first part, right? It was in the previous episode, was that the importance of speaking up, not talking to the person. You can write into someone who you know would care, speak to someone who can be of power, someone who can influence policies. And you say, who are these people? I also don't know. Try. The doctors have created their own network. And if you want to do the same, we have to create our own network.
Do you think it's because we feel that we graduated as medication experts, therefore we should be entitled to this profile of being seen as a medication expert, and it hurts your pride when people don't see you the way you think you should be seen?
If you think about the very classic role of if you think your role is just being a medication expert, I'm very, very sorry to tell you, you can be replaced by automation, with digitalization. If I teach an AI well enough, they can dispense the same level of advice. If I ask sufficient questions through an algorithm, I can get the same thing. But what is different and what is so important and special about community pharmacy is that human contact that a robot cannot replace, that AI cannot replace.
And it's very interesting. So Jasmine, you see, when I think about all these processes and more of these things are becoming digitalized, right? Let's take a look at the comment. You see, my good friend Shaiful says, it's very scary if a patient can just get drugs without any consultation. Now, they might not feel that way because it is convenient. Correct? The patient might not know. And then how? Correct? There is a higher risk because there are certain drugs that go out into the market now, and you look at it and you'll be like, wow, you sure or not? You're just waiting for that one allergy to happen, you know, because the patient didn't know that he's allergic to this particular medicine. It's very, I think there's a bit of a disconnect, you know, between what we see as professionals and what the community perceives our role to be. Do you think we are lacking in a specific role or lacking in a niche?
Okay, so to me, the great thing about being a community pharmacist is that you don't have to have a niche. Your relationship is unique to yourself. Your relationship with patients is unique to yourself. And I think, yes, there is a mismatch. And yes, the awareness of the role of pharmacists in Singapore is very different from if you compare it with Australia, compare it with the US, compare it with Europe. It's different. But my question to then the community pharmacists or to pharmacists in general, what are you doing to change this perception?
Yeah.
And you think like I do something, it's not that you don't have to do a big change. You don't have to do a big project in order to be seen as, yes, this is a person who's a pharmacist and he did something great. It's about doing the simple things. Simple things by being a listening ear to your customer, to your patient. It's good enough to spark a change because they'll say, hey, you know, I always go to this pharmacy because I really enjoy the company. And it's like I can have a conversation relationship with the person. And even though I stay in Pasir Ris, I will go to Toa Payoh to see the pharmacist because I like the pharmacist there. It's the same concept why in the polyclinics, people stay in Jurong, they go to Toa Payoh to see the doctor. It's just because they are so used to the environment. And
well, you see, it's not just Jurong to Toa Payoh. I mean, I have a customer who, from the time I started pharmacy, he's pretty regular in, you know, coming to us. He would fly from Indonesia to Singapore to purchase medicines from my pharmacy, and then he would fly back. You know, so I left full time about 5 years ago, still involved but on a part-time basis. So what happened was, about 2-3 months back, when COVID started we started to see more COVID cases in Indonesia, I dropped him an email and I said, hey, you know, Mr. whatever his name is, just wanted to say to take care because I hear from the news that the virus is starting to spread in Indonesia. And he said, oh, you know, I haven't been able to come to Singapore to get the medicines. So I asked him, would you like my help? And then he says, okay. So I went to get quotations for him. And through all the quotations, I went back to him and I said, you know, these are the prices. I have no affiliation to any of the retail companies. So which one would you like me to get it from? And he says, whatever you think is best. So in the end, we got it from an organization, which is not his usual organization. And we sent the medicine to him overseas. But here's the main point. Who do you think the patient is loyal to? Is the patient loyal to the organization? No. Is the patient loyal to the profession as a pharmacist? No. The patient is loyal to the individual. At the end of the day, it's a person-to-person relationship where he says, I trust you. So why do we think then that these conversations are, it's not worth talking to somebody when it's not healthcare related? And it frustrates me sometimes. Now, it's easy to say that, oh, you know, it's you know this person really well, but this is a relationship that's 10 years in the making. And it takes time to build that relationship and that trust. And similarly, to a patient who would travel from Jurong to somewhere else to see a doctor because of familiarity, why can't we build that kind of relationship with our patients? Why should it not be the case when we're supposed to be in community? And one of the things that I when I think about that, really is it a problem because of an issue of we have to blend together the products and the services that we provide? Because we provide medication advice, right? Let's say let's assume that right now our role is purely medicinal healthcare based. You can't provide that advice purely in the retail setting or the community setting without recommending a product. But because of this product, it becomes a price war, right? At some point in time, because price does play a part. Sales does play a part. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. The 3 biggest chains in Singapore are businesses. Businesses, let's not talk about how much profit margin there is. They have to make money. If not, there's no point running a business, correct? So the problem with the product is that these 3 biggest chains, which employ the largest number of retail pharmacists in Singapore, you're fighting with e-commerce. Right? Now, you are a reseller. The supplier sells a product to you as a retail company, and you sell that product to your patients. That's our job, right? Through advice, through whatever. But online, all your distributors are now setting up their own flagship stores. And they can sell it direct to the consumer without going through the middle person and suffering a loss in profit. So if we are going to fight that battle to sell the product itself, is it worth fighting that battle? Or should we focus on the quality of the service that we are providing? What do you think? Should we separate this idea of products and services?
I think, okay, I'm not sure if anyone actually listened to the MINS Telepharmacy webinar yesterday, and I thought it was a really interesting session because there were a lot of countries that shared their views and what it's like for telepharmacy.
And by the way, hosted by one of our good friends, Kevin Ben Lawrence, who's right here joining us. Hi, Kevin. Big shout out.
And it was, what really shocked me was the way Malaysia positioned telepharmacy. So when they first talked about the digital health services that were available that should be made that will be part of the healthcare system, what surprised me was how he put telepharmacy under e-commerce. And I'm like, isn't that making us salespeople just that on an online platform? And that was my question to him. I said, I'm honestly surprised that you don't consider virtual pharmacy services as a subset of telemedicine, but as part of an e-commerce platform. And he said, no, you misunderstand. What I'm trying to say is that e-commerce is the future. And if you want to create an online shopping experience, and you want to make sure that the pharmacist continues to remain relevant, the e-pharmacy services, the telepharmacy services becomes an important core of the e-commerce platform. And it provides the user or the customer with the same experience as walking into a store. And in this aspect, so it's easy. You have an online shop or ask a pharmacist right in your face. You don't have to walk all the way into the store to look for the pharmacy. The pharmacy is just right there by a click of a button.
So you're essentially mimicking the physical experience and just trying to, as far as possible, translate it into the digital world.
Yes. But then what you're doing now is that you can put yourself in parallel with the products. And what I mean by that is that the 2 buttons, the modules of asking a pharmacist and having the products can be side by side. Or it can be when you are deciding whether to buy a product, ask a pharmacist. You see, it brings to the attention of the consumer, I can ask the pharmacist. If you walk into a Guardian Watson's Unity and the pharmacist is not there, or at a corner that you just don't see, maybe because there's so many people blocking your view, that doesn't come to mind. And that doesn't come to mind that you can ask the pharmacist about whether or not this product is suitable for you. And if you think about it, if at every point, it's kind of like if you think about it, right? At every point you take a product off the counter, there is, are you sure this is the right product for you? Ask a pharmacist, you know? And it helps people think, yes, I'm in a pharmacy, reminds people that they are in a pharmacy, not just a store. And he said that by doing so, creates a distinct entity on how telepharmacy is unique, different from a GP clinic providing telemedicine services. And that was something that really caught out to me. And it's to be honest, it's a very strategic move, right? Identifying pharmacy as a profession providing a separate service from a doctor's. You don't fall under the doctor's shadow, that the doctor is the one providing the main service, telemedicine service. You are also providing a crucial service. And when I shared this, when I shared what Malaysia shared with a classmate of mine yesterday, and what she mentioned was, this is actually very interesting because it is what actually she envisioned as a future of pharmacy, where you decouple services from products. And what I mean by that is that you will consult a pharmacist. So when it's something that's online, telepharmacy allows you to talk to the pharmacist without the product being at hand, in your hand, or without having the pharmacist give you the product. It's because when I'm the pharmacist and I give you the product, I mean, it is just perception that the patient sees you as a salesperson, which is also why in a lot of GP clinics, it is not the doctor that gives you the medicine. It is the clinic assistant. There is a separation of their service in that sense. And it reminds you and gives you the perception that I'm seeing the doctor for health advice. Why can't this be mimicked or mirrored for telepharmacy? It is the same concept. And don't see telepharmacy as something that will kill your profession. It is something that will elevate your profession and help people realize that you are providing a service, a valuable service and products. You're not just a salesperson.
Are we ready for it? Do you think we are ready to specialize or to explore that niche of providing purely the service, but a separation from product?
I think until we try, we'll never know whether we're ready. And I would say initially it'll be rocky, definitely, because you won't know whether or not whether this is the right model for you. But that's how you refine it along the way.
So you don't think we're ready?
Yeah.
So you don't think we're ready, right?
No, wait. I don't think anyone is ready when you move into digitalization. It's a fucking scary, I'm sorry, it's a really scary space. Okay. And why I say that is because when telemedicine first started, it was very hard to define or identify what are some of the risks and some of the concerns. Honestly, you guess, you assume these are the risks. And this is how the model would best look. And I roll it out. And then you realize along the way, I need to refine this part, I need to refine this part. And that's how you get ready. You have to start, you have to be in it and get ready.
So you think we haven't started yet?
Yeah, I don't think we have started yet.
But we have telepharmacy. I mean, we have telepharmacy to the point that people are telling us that we are losing our jobs to telepharmacy and to telemedicine or whatever you want to call it.
You know? And I think the idea of telepharmacy cannot just be a camera in the customer's face. And that's the experience that I've had in some pharmacies.
What's that experience?
And just seeing the camera. I don't see my face. I don't see the pharmacist's face. There is just a camera in my face.
So I think we have people who have never gone through something like that. So maybe if you could just share your personal experience, not like what we understand it to be, but your personal experience when you have to go and purchase a pharmacy-only medicine through telepharmacy. Let's describe that process for some of our friends who have never used that service.
So the current telepharmacy landscape, as I understand, is when I walk into a pharmacy, the pharmacist is not there. Then the pharmacy assistant will say, oh, we have telepharmacy services. You can talk to a pharmacist in another branch. I was like, oh, okay. And then what happens is that there is a camera that's there. And I was like trying to look for a screen because I can't see the pharmacist. And then the pharmacy assistant behind me making the call. And then, the phone. So I have the phone and I have the camera in my face, but I don't know who I'm talking to. And it was honestly a very awkward experience because it's supposed to be to me, patient care, you have to see the professional. Okay, you need to be able to match what the professional is saying to that face in front of you. That's how I view patient care to be. And now that I can't see the person, I feel very uncomfortable. Like, okay, you're dispensing this medication to me. You don't even know how I look. I can't even show you where my pain is because I was getting ketotop plasters, some painkiller plaster. And I'm like, if it's on my leg, what am I going to do? Take the webcam and put on my leg? Doesn't make sense, right? And the platform itself is not suitable for a true telepharmacy consult.
But what you're saying then is if the platform is not good enough, you are asking all these companies to invest more money in creating a newer platform, because you know from our conversations, companies that spend not tens of thousands, let's be honest, it's 6 digits sometimes, just to create a retail pharmacy dispensing system. So they created that, and now you're telling them that that's not enough. And you want them to invest more money to create that experience? Really?
So what is very interesting about this is that I am aware of pharmacies that already partner with telemedicine companies. They have already invested in that partnership. And if you look at telemedicine companies, and if you all haven't tried a telemedicine service to see a doctor online, I encourage you to try it. The experience is that you see the doctor and you can tell the doctor how you feel, and you can still have a two-way communication with the doctor. It's still a face-to-face consult. And it's the same platform. If you already have a collaboration with a partner, do you think the partner will not want to extend the same platform to you? You already download the platform onto your system. What you need now is a screen for the patient. You have a screen for the pharmacist. You just need a screen for the patient. And it's not about, they say that's about investing money, but in my opinion, you already invested the money. Why not take it further with that telemedicine company? Why are you just comfortable with what you have? If you think the experience is not good enough, even as a pharmacist, I believe it's very weird to have that kind of experience. It's not, many would say it's not the same as talking to a patient face to face. Yes, precisely, face to face. How can you change that? Putting another screen changes that because you already have the platform in place.
So if that's the company's role, or okay, let's not say it's the company's role. I mean, it's nothing is purely reliant on the company doing what they think is right. It's usually somebody who is pushing for it before something becomes implemented. Correct? And let's assume that person is the pharmacist. Now, I want to ask you something. When telepharmacy first started to roll out about 5-6 years ago, I was asked to consider it. Right? And back then, because of my view of the importance of building a relationship with the people whom you serve, I refused to do telepharmacy. Now, my impression has changed slightly, but I refused to do telepharmacy because it didn't allow me to build that relationship. And I didn't think that's the way forward. What would you say to a new pharmacist, a young pharmacist, a current pharmacist who is thinking about the same thing? Why should I use telepharmacy when I can't build the relationship? You say relationship is so important. I can't do it through telemedicine. Why the hell should I bother and learn?
Then I want to pose the question back. What is the foundation of this relationship? It's communication. And it is also the importance of being able to communicate virtually. It is not the same as in person, definitely. But it is something that you can still allows you to communicate with the other party. Okay, let me give you the idea of why telemedicine is actually so much, it's proliferating so much more in our neighboring countries because they have inaccessibility to care, right? And being able to access a doctor or a healthcare professional from however remote they are is really important to them. And which is why telemedicine has grown so much. In Singapore, you go down, 10 minutes, you can find a GP clinic, at most 10 minutes, otherwise it's just downstairs. Why do you need telemedicine? It is the same reason why is it we have Deliveroo? Why is it we need to use GrabFood? It's because we like the accessibility. We value our time. That's the country we're in. We're in a developed country where time is money. And if people are willing to invest in the accessibility, they'll be willing to. There is no reason why people don't want to do the same for healthcare. And this COVID situation has actually shown the light on telemedicine. And it also shows that telemedicine has a role to play, because in a pandemic, or in the risk of it being contagious, you can consult a doctor online. You don't have to step out into the GP clinic and be worried that the person beside you has a virus, but you can actually consult with a doctor online. And honestly, when we first worked with the telemedicine providers, they said, well, I cannot do physical assessment for the patient. I cannot genuinely ask them the questions, or like, it feels very weird talking to a screen. Okay, that was the main thing that they told us. But then it's about changing your perspective and changing how you do a virtual consult. So I will put it in giving you an idea of the telemedicine perspective, how doctors have changed the way they actually see a patient. When a doctor comes and you say that you have a fever, what they do is that they press your lymph nodes, right? They check whether or not it's swollen in a GP clinic. But then you're like, telemedicine, how is the doctor going to feel, right? But then what the doctors have done is that they have developed protocols to actually teach the patient how to feel for themselves. And if you think about it and you try to stretch it even further, what you're saying is that you're improving the health literacy of the local population, because they then need to know how to physically examine themselves.
Yes. Yes.
And that is how we help healthcare evolve. We have to accept that people want things quick, and not quick, but want things accessible and easy. I want to be in my office. You tell me that I have to see a doctor for my diabetes. I want to be able to walk into the meeting room there and then talk to the doctor. Why can't telepharmacy do the same? It's the same. It's just being accessible to the people.
So do you think that most of our friends are running away from technology?
I don't think they run. I mean, to be fair, I don't think they understand it well enough. Unless you've used telemedicine services, you won't know what it's like. There is always an idea on what telemedicine could be, or there is some futuristic one, or you watch some sci-fi film that shows you how people talk to a robot or just a screen, right? But it's different. And that's why I encourage people to actually see what telemedicine is like and how the doctors have learned to accept telemedicine. Doctors who were so unwilling to actually take up telemedicine are now taking up telemedicine because of COVID, because they see the value of telemedicine in such a situation.
Do you think we've lost an opportunity during COVID to establish our role in the community as community pharmacists using technology maybe?
I would say COVID is not over. The focus on community by the Ministry of Health is not over. And I would like to highlight the 3 pillars, okay? The 3 pillars: beyond healthcare to health, beyond quality to value, and beyond hospital to home. The last pillar shows MOH's emphasis on community. Community, not just for the doctors, but for every healthcare professional, bringing healthcare services to the people. And that is one thing that we need to remember, that this is already an area of focus for the ministry. Regardless of not whether there was a pandemic, this is something that the ministry has agreed and confirmed that they would put their resources in. But what proposals have you put forth to the ministry? I will ask. What proposals do you think would be useful for the community pharmacy sector? And this also brings me to another. I mean, I guess we also receive a lot of feedback, right? And so, why is MOH not doing more? Why is the pharmacist office not doing more? I have to remind you, MOH officers are policy drafters. When I was in MOH, I'm a policy drafter. I don't see myself as a service provider. I was a service provider, but I don't know what is the current state now. And it is you being in the community sector, you knowing what it's like, you understanding the needs of the community to tell MOH, this is what I need. This is a service I think should be provided because there is a community need. And how can you help me?
Are you saying that we are not speaking up and telling MOH? Or is it MOH is just so detached from what's happening on the ground for us in pharmacy?
So I would say when MOH consults and then there is something you get feedback on, who did they get feedback from? Your pharmacy managers, right? And honestly, how often, I'm not trying to like slam any pharmacy manager, but
Because we have
how often,
classmates who are pharmacy managers. Yes.
but it's like, how much are they the right persons to ask? Are they the right persons to assess needs of the community?
Right, so are you saying that the pharmacy practice managers don't understand what their pharmacists are going through? Or is it that they are pressured to provide politically correct answers?
No, I think the thing is that the conversation needs to be wider. And what makes you think that the pharmacy manager doesn't ask the rest of the pharmacists, hey, do you all want to voice your opinions or go for this meeting? They'll be like, I don't want to go for a meeting with MOH.
Hang on. What do you mean by the conversation has to be wider?
You can't just talk to the pharmacy managers. You need to talk to the community. And I feel like such a conversation between MOH as well as the community pharmacy has not been there. I mean, like, have you heard of it? I haven't heard of it. If there has been, then I don't think people have attended.
Why?
And
Why have they not attended it? I mean, we hear two sides of the story, right? It's the community says that the MOH or the pharmacy strategy office, whatever that full long name is, they're not doing anything for us. They are saying that I don't see anything from up there. Nice talk, nice pillars, nice drives that you want to achieve, but talk is cheap, right? Talking is free, right? Where's the action? I don't see it on the ground. Right? That's what we on the ground easily say. Do you think that's real?
I think it's about your perception I think it's about the pharmacist's perception of the MOH's role. MOH's role is a complementary role. Okay? They don't know exactly or everything that the landscape needs. Because if they do, then they'll be gods, right? They cannot tell what they need until you tell them what is it that you want them to do. So you say that nothing comes from MOH, right? So, okay, I have friends in that department who roll out services. I say that you say that don't be okay. I create a service in the community, and I think that pharmacists should go there.
Right, so you're saying that MOH did something. They actually did something.
Yeah. But then, how many people sign up for it? One. How many people know about it? I don't know. And so, from MOH's point of view, and I have to qualify that we did speak to different people. That it's like they offer you a carrot. You say you want to eat carrot. I give you carrot, right? Then you complain it's not Japanese carrot. You don't want to eat it. You say that now you give me this service, you're forcing it down my throat. But when your request to them was vague, you say, I want more services in the community. You don't give them the direction they need or the type of services that should be provided.
Why don't they just ask for feedback?
But how do you know that they didn't ask for feedback? But the people who turned up weren't the pharmacists who really had the answers. Or like pharmacy managers, I mean, there's only a few, right? You can ask more. And if you think like such a conversation is required, a wider conversation is required, and MOH should talk to the rest and have like some sort of town hall with the community pharmacists, do you think it's something that the...
Hang on. So we are saying that right now, the community pharmacists say we want more services. Don't know what services, but we want more services.
Yeah.
MOH, if according to what you're saying, they view themselves as complementary to support us in this kind of role. They propose something. And they put it forward to the community pharmacists. And the community pharmacists say, no, that's not what I want. Isn't it really just an issue of asking for feedback? Did they not ask for feedback?
From what I understood, from what I've heard, they did ask for feedback. But there was no negative feedback given.
Oh.
So I think from our observation, I mean, you can see, right? The observation is that there is a disconnect. What the community pharmacists are saying and what MOH is saying. The conversation is like that, It's not even meeting. Yeah. It's like, hello. Everybody's seeing it in a different way. And I think I really think this calls for a conversation. A conversation with the bigger landscape, and not just the pharmacy managers.
And I think one of the things that was very startling for me is our friends in MOH don't even know that these are the sentiments of people on the ground. So whose responsibility is it then? Is it MOH's responsibility to go to the ground and ask you, how do you feel? How do you feel? How do you feel? How do you feel? Is it their job? Or is the problem of pharmacists not being vocal enough when you are asked to provide an opinion? Correct? And if you're asked to provide an opinion and you don't say anything, then people spend all the money, all the effort to try to roll out something to you, and then you say you're not happy. And then you go with the nice line of saying, people upstairs staying in their ivory tower, they don't know what the hell is going on the ground. So it looks to me like, okay, I will admit, I used to think that way as a person on the ground, because you don't have perspective on what's up there. But now that I hear it from both sides, I agree with you. I think it calls for a conversation. Yeah, and we have to remove that disconnect and form some kind of connection. Without that connection between the people who are supposed to be complementary to our work, and the people who are on the ground, nothing will change. And everyone will continue to say we are alone. No, I mean, I really just want to say that, it's very frustrating to hear something like this. It's very upsetting.
And it once again brings up the importance of conversations. It's a conversation not just with patients in your room. It's conversations with your community as well. With your whoever is in your healthcare landscape as well. It's not just, it is important to talk to someone, right? It's not just about feeling insular and only looking at your position at the pharmacy landscape. How does the pharmacy landscape fit into the entire healthcare landscape? That's the kind of perception we need to have, and that's the kind of conversations we need to have. And when people criticize your profession, like, honestly, what you do, I don't see value in what you do. Take it as a constructive criticism. How do you change their perspective?
Yeah. I mean, I will say that I've never really had that issue with people around me, because what I see at work, I share with them. I tell people about the stuff that we do. I tell people about the things that patients tell me. And you demonstrate that benefit to people. I really have not had a person who comes and say, you people just give what you want to give. People ask me to, they want this medicine, my job is just to pass it to them from behind the counter. Not really. None of my friends have ever said that. So it really started to get me thinking, how come so many other people feel that way, that they are just an accessory to pass things from behind the counter to over the counter, over that kind of thing. So I think it really comes to communicating your role a bit better, sharing with people the stuff that you do, and really just believing that you do have value, because you do. The truth is that you do have value in community. But if you tend to be the very quiet, shy, and you label yourself as introvert, you're never going to have these conversations. The longer you stay in the closet, that's where you'll be. And I'll say that's where we are. So thinking about these relationships that we build with people, some of our friends have said it's very tiring to have these conversations in the community, right? Because here's the truth. The truth is, not everybody comes to us in community and talks to us about healthcare stuff. They talk about their family, they talk about their life, they talk about their holiday. They recommend their daughter to me, telling me every time they come saying, 几时结婚?几时结婚? You know, 我有一个女儿. When you're getting married, I got a daughter I want to recommend to you. All these kinds of stuff. And by the way, I don't think it is just I don't think this is just unique to community. We see more of it in community, but I do think that it happens in hospital as well. We have friends who say we are very tired. We're sick of all these non-medicine related conversations. My job is a clinical professional. I understand medicines, that's my expertise. Why the hell should I bother talking to someone else about non-medication stuff? What do you think?
I think then I would say you're missing the true essence of community pharmacy. The point of the difference between hospital pharmacy and community pharmacy is that hospital pharmacy forms short-term relationships with the patients, right? I mean, they get discharged and then they go, or they go out to the outpatient and collect medication and they go. Being in the community allows you to form a long-term relationship. And honestly, this long-term relationship is very crucial because in the hospital, in my opinion, in the hospital, when I give you medications and then I say, take this 5 times a day, you're at the verge of death or you had a near-death experience, you will take the medication 5 times a day. Okay, that is when you're in the hospital or when you're on sick leave. But then now what I'm saying is that you have to go back to work. Is 5 times a day something that you can do? Is taking medicine 5 times a day easy for you? You say it's just taking medicines, right? Yes, if you're in an office job, but what if you're a delivery driver? What if you need to travel somewhere? What if you need to drive? The tendency is that you will forget to take one of these doses. And what is the role of the community pharmacist then? Is this medication then suitable for you? Giving the best medication, but having very poor compliance is as good as no medication at all.
Yeah.
It may not be the best medication, but it's the medication that the patient can be compliant to. Maybe the recovery process will take longer, I don't know. But at least the patient can do it. And that is our role. Our role, we need to understand what is their lifestyle. We need to have insights into their lifestyle before we can give such a recommendation. If we never had those side conversations, we will never know. You just say, take 5 times a day because hospital asks you to take 5 times a day. No. Our role, when I really see, so the main thing for me when a polyclinic is when aunties come with bags of medicine and say that, I never eat, deduct for me, I don't want to pay so much. But your question shouldn't be, again, right? Your question should be, why is the auntie not taking the medications?
The question is when somebody comes to you like that, what they say is, okay, do you want to remove all of it? How many exactly do you want to remove?
Yes.
Yeah.
But there is no follow-up question. Why? Why are they not taking the medicines? You see, if you don't address the compliance issue, right, you're just going to count medicines every time they come. And you have a long-term relationship with them. So a long-term relationship means you're always counting for them. So how do you then change this? Changing this involves you having a conversation why the person is not taking the medication. Why is it difficult for them to comply? You know, maybe something take 3 times a day versus 2 times a day. Then you say 2 times a day means 12 hours apart, 3 times a day means 8 hours apart. Auntie 8 hours and 12 hours, how to remember? You know, you need to think about that. Simple things like that. Maybe because you're a young person and you can set alarms or reminders on your phone, easy for you to say, right? But that is not easy for the uncle or the auntie. And it's things like that, simple things that you do. Even what I did is that when a doctor changes the medication, I draw up a list of all the medications and highlight in red boxes what has been changed. And when I do that, I know that the auntie will go, oh, I no longer take this tablet. Maybe I don't take the blue tablet anymore. Now I take the green one because I have to take a higher dose, right? You highlight these kind of changes to them. And then you put them in order that you remember. This one is for morning, this is for afternoon, and this is for evening. Simple things that you do that for them improves their compliance.
So what you're saying is that having these conversations allow you to understand a person better, correct?
Yes.
What if it seemingly feels like it's nothing to do with their regimen? Because right now we are talking about, how your lifestyle affects your medication regimen. Do you think it's worth spending time speaking to people? Okay, and by the way, when I mean talking to people, let's be very clear that we are talking to patients about their life, but we are not talking. It's not a situation where you're a young, pretty pharmacist and somebody tries to get to know you because of predatory reasons. Okay, let's just talk about a simple relationship, professional kind of relationship. Is it worth spending time talking about my last holiday?
I would say yes. If you're trying to cultivate a relationship with the patient, yes. It is. Building a relationship is not built on just providing or dispensing health advice. Building a relationship with your friends is not, when in school, it's not just about homework. You talk about all sorts of stuff. And when you share things of your own personal experience, it's how you get closer as friends. And it's the same concept when forming a relationship with a patient. And the reason of the importance of forming such a relationship is that you want them to come to you when they have an issue. Maybe today, they don't have an issue of their health. But when they do, in the future, they know, I can turn to you because I trust you.
And that trust is something that's built over time, not just through one tablet 3 times a day.
Yes. Do you
By the
trust?
way, one tablet 3 times a day sounds like something a robot can do.
Yes, precisely. It can be replaced. I don't even need to have a pharmacist there. It's just like when the medication comes out from the machine, then the machine just say 1 tablet 3 times a day. How difficult is that? Put that into a machine right now.
Don't you think then that in this age where digitalization tends to be the in thing, the thing that's changing the game, if we do our job well to build the correct relationships, doesn't it sound like we should be thriving?
With digitalization?
Yeah. Because the one thing that a human being can do that technology cannot do is to deal with that emotion. Let's take an example outside of pharmacy. Previously, I had to get some insurance for an event I was running for a client, right? We had to get some public liability insurance. I needed it in a very short period of time. My good friend, real agent, like human being agent, got it for me. Why? He says, we don't normally do it so fast, but I understand that it is important for you because your event is coming. If you go by a protocol, you don't have that emotion. The computer cannot sense how urgent it is. And there was no way I could have run my project without that insurance thing. So what we can provide seems to be that ability to build a relationship with the customer, something the computer or the robot or the algorithm can't do. So why do you think more people don't feel that way? They don't seem to be reacting to this thought. Or rather, they feel that they're under threat.
Yeah, I feel like it is okay in terms of engagement. I think most people will actually say after this is that both of you are no longer full-time in community. You don't understand how tiring it's like talking to a patient. And yes, that's true. But does my engagement stop in my job? No. I am communicating differently. I am communicating to different people. And the engagement continues. The engagement is necessary to push a lot of things. And I also want to reiterate the importance of conversations, not only just with your patients, but also with your bosses, with your collaborating partners, because that was how the prescribing policy was pushed out. I didn't write the perfect policy. It was just about engaging the right people. And the power of engagement goes beyond just talking to your patients. Your engagement with someone, maybe, you'll never know, could be someone your patient that comes to you in a community pharmacy, could be someone who's very influential, a political office holder, a member of parliament, someone in MOH. Do you know? If you never had this conversation, would you know what they have done? And if they love the service that you provide, you say, and sometimes you have a conversation, you're so fed up, so frustrated that things are not moving. If you never had this relationship, you never formed this relationship, why would the person help you? If you form that relationship, person will say, is it difficult to talk to someone? Hey, you know what? I'm actually who and so and so. Let me help you. And you must understand that sometimes when you do things for someone, you cannot always expect an immediate reciprocation. It's not immediate reward. Think of it, plan, look long term. For me, the relationship now, how it helps you in the future. You'll never know, right? Yeah.
Let's talk about career progression.
Mm-hmm.
Within the company, within the profession, as a community pharmacist. A lot of people say that career progression is it's poor. All right. Let's just get to the statement related to this. The pharmacy profession is getting overpopulated with limited job vacancies. It is harder for new grads to find jobs. Also very competitive for old-timers in view of the fierce competition by junior pharmacists who are hungry and willing to work more for less.
Mm.
Well, I'm not so sure about the part that they are willing to work more for less.
I think they're just young and they're paid less.
Yeah, it's true, right? Because as you have more years of experience, then there tends to be increments. Let's not kid ourselves. It's not a crazy increment, but you are paid more after a certain number of years of service. Do you think this is healthy competition?
So maybe we take a step back, right? Why is it we are moving into an aging population and there's an increase of healthcare needs, and an increased need for professionals such as nurses, doctors, allied health professionals, but somehow there's no call for a need for pharmacists? I want to ask, and for you all to consider, do you think our value has dropped? Do you think we have failed to establish our worth in the current healthcare landscape? And I honestly feel it's because you don't show what you can offer. And I want to draw the example from yesterday's MIMS webinar again. When in Hong Kong, during the COVID situation, they took advantage of the situation. They were opportunistic about the situation. And they worked with the hospital authority, which is kind of like MOH within their, in Hong Kong, that they would do the triage for the doctors. And MOH was willing to point them towards it. In Philippines, the pharmacist went up to the Ministry of Health and said, I know that you're trying to keep people at home and social distancing. Why don't we look at telepharmacy? And they were like, I haven't defined telepharmacy. I haven't said that telepharmacy is allowed in the Philippines. And they were like, this is an emergency situation, right? You want medications to be delivered to your patients. How can we help? You see, it's simple things like this, going to MOH, looking at the situation, what can I do? They put their worth, they find their value in that situation. And it's something that I don't feel that we are actively doing. You need to find, the landscape will always evolve. It will continue to evolve. And you must continue to maintain your value proposition in that landscape.
So
Why
you think
are you
the junior ones are, it's correct that the junior ones are more competitive? I mean, this statement assumes that the old-timers don't feel like doing much, right?
I would say, I wouldn't say they're not doing much. Okay, so the responsibilities are very different for a senior pharmacist versus a junior ones. You have to take on more administrative roles, more operational stuff, and look into different things that the junior one may not have to look at, right? But you have to balance it and consider the viability of your profession. Doing the same thing day in, day out, when the healthcare landscape continues to evolve, does not help. And yes, it will take more effort at the initial start, because Walao, why must I be the one to move with the healthcare landscape? I'm sorry. Healthcare landscape is moving even faster now because of the pandemic with digitalization. And you just have to keep up with it. If you complain and you don't take action, nothing is going to change. You say that, oh yeah, but other people can do this, they have the time and effort to do this. Sorry, other people also took time out to do this. And if you want to be the change, you believe that there needs to be a change, you have to take action.
Yeah, so people are doing all these different roles, right? I mean, it's based on what I gather, it's not that there's a lack of services. Okay, of course, everyone wants more services, right? Whatever services means to them. When there are these things, they say we are doing more, therefore we should be paid more. Our pay is too low in community. Right? This is what we've been doing. Now you ask us to do a little bit more. Pay us more.
Yep.
Do they deserve the pay rise?
My question to them is that, have you established your worth? Have you produced any results? I can't just pay you more because I think that you will produce a result. You have to produce the result first before I even consider paying you more. If I cannot prove or I don't have evidence to show that whatever you're doing, whatever new you're doing is value adding to the system, how do I know to pay you more or even how much more to pay you? You're not giving management the opportunity to quantify the value because you have not produced it yet. Yes, when you introduce something new, there is always the pro bono part of it. I'm doing it for free. But if you truly believe that it would change and you truly believe that results will be achieved, then that is something that you can use to argue for a pay increment. But if you have nothing to show because you have not done it yet, I cannot see, I cannot plan, I cannot adjust for what I just don't have before my eyes.
Do you think it's something that we are doing, but the people up there are not seeing it from an organization's perspective?
It could be possible. Then I would say, have you had a conversation?
Okay. Well, when I thought about this, first thing that comes to my mind is I think pharmacists need to learn to see things from a business perspective. Yes, we are trained in clinical stuff. That's what we do in school, right? That's the focus of our curriculum in NUS. I understand there's a new one coming now. Not sure totally what's about. But based on our training, it's very, very strongly clinical based. Okay, now, think about it this way. Our friends are saying we are performing at this level. They ask us to do more things. We say, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. Someone has proposed it and people start to do it. Now the amount of work that you have is this level. Okay, second level here. And you think that you deserve more because you have this gap to cover. What if, let's just say, what if your extra effort, your extra time still has not met your company's requirement, which is over here? You think that you deserve more because you're doing a little bit more, but in actual fact, you're way off the mark because your starting point is so low. And therefore, this is what your company wants. This is where you are. You perform to a higher level. Should you be paid this level because you improve slightly? No, what?
Yeah.
Correct. And why do you think that you deserve to be paid more? Are you overvaluing your worth sometimes? Do you think that you are worth that much when actually you're not?
Yep. And I think
why would you think that way? Is it because you're too cocky? Is it because you're too arrogant? Is it because you feel entitled that I graduated with this? I should have, therefore, this profile. I don't think so. You're essentially saying, because I have this, I am entitled to certain pay.
Yeah.
Not sure how everyone else perceives it, in my work, when I started my own business, nothing was ever handed to me on a plate. I fight for everything that I want.
Yeah.
Why,
And I think
why are our friends asking for more? Is there a disconnect there again between misalignment of aims, or are we just arrogant?
I think this is an issue not only just for pharmacists, but it's an issue with a professional degree. When you finish a professional degree, you feel like you're entitled to the privileges accorded to that profession. You feel like I should be paid this amount because I'm a professional. But think of your friends who are not professional degree holders. When they enter into different industries, how much should they be paid? Can you imagine this question to them? They have absolutely no idea because they are generalists. They have a breadth of stuff, but they don't necessarily have the depth in a particular area. And they're just finding their way and finding their niche, really. And it is not a question that we think about because I would say as professionals and also for our batch, we have been pampered. When we graduated, we are the lucky batch, right? We applied to anywhere we wanted. We got called up for interviews because there was so many positions available to be for pre-reg. And I don't know if because of this lack of competition during our time resulted in us being entitled because we were handed the opportunities in front of us. So many. Everybody still got left over.
It was too easy for us.
Yes, I feel that it was too easy for us. And it was only through communicating with the younger batches, hearing the feedback from the younger pharmacists that I cannot even find a position. Then you realize that you never had this problem. Right? And I feel like because you are not put through the same hardship that these young pharmacists have. And in fact, I want to say that I believe this will be a more resilient lot because they lived through the pandemic at the start of their career and they had to fight for positions. And when you fight for something, you're more passionate about something. And I'm not saying that, okay, so in my opinion, you can be accorded the privileges of your profession at the starting point. Maybe that's how all the starting pay starts, right? But as you progress, how the profession progresses, it's really up to you. How you progress, how you value add is up to you. And if you say that you do more work, you handle 1,000 patients today versus 700 patients yesterday, I'm sorry, you are still doing the same scope of work. Your scope has not changed. What you are not value adding yet. And if you want to value add, how can you then improve the efficiency? Why are you seeing 1,000 patients when their pharmacy workforce has grown stronger? Do you ask yourself that? And I think it's about looking at things from a different perspective. And also remembering and helping them remember that you need to show that you have more. You need to show the results that you have more to progress in a career. You cannot just expect increments because of your years of experience if you never did more. Did more in the sense where you actually not just like see more patients, did something beyond your scope. And that's how you should be assessed.
There are two things that I want to address before we conclude our conversation. And the first thing is this. Our friends tell us that if the laws don't change, the profession will die in the community. In a concise answer, how would you reply to them?
What do you need the law to? Why do you need the law to change? What is it you want to do that the law is required to change? And if you say change is not possible, how do you then see pharmacists having prescribing rights now? How do you see which parts of the act had to be changed in order to facilitate this? It is not impossible as long as there's value in that change, that value in that policy change that allows for a legislative amendment. But what is it that you want that requires this change? And I think that is the question you need to ask yourself. You don't just say change to do what? To do what? You cannot just say MOH Chief Pharmacist Office change the law. For what? What aspects you want them to change? I don't even know. What do you want? What is the key thing that you think the law is a stumbling block? What is the law blocking you from doing? So laws can be changed, but you have to be clear in the objective of changing the law.
I think the worry I have is if you don't focus on the value that you can offer to your patients. By the way, you have to know what that value is first, right? You've got to ask yourself, what exactly is it? But if you don't focus on the value that you give, you will come to a point where you feel like you have nothing to do and you blame it on the law. Right? You say, oh, because there are not enough medicines that are pharmacy only and therefore a patient cannot come to me to get the medicines. That is very sad, you know. You know essentially what you are saying? You're saying this, you know, the public doesn't need me. Actually, they don't need me. The only reason why I have a job and why they come to me is because the law says they need to come to me to buy medicines. There's no relationship, there's nothing. You are just a gatekeeper. But by the way, a transparent gatekeeper is as good as reaching across you and taking the medicine yourself. Only thing right now, not that transparent because the law says you must give me your IC and I must key in some details before you can buy it. That's really sad, you know. And if you complain about the law in that way, if that's the only thing that you think about, you will fall into that trap. And 5 years down the road, after this conversation, you're going to be complaining about the same things. Just that, by that time, it's not just the public's perception of you and your service. By that time, organizations will say, when I look at the business, the first thing I will get rid of is the community pharmacy. Let's be honest. It's how much of the sales comes from medicines, pharmacy-only medicines, POMs, right? As a percentage of the entire sales, health, beauty, right? Without going into details on percentages, we all know that those things comprise a larger percentage of sales. If it wasn't, Guardian wouldn't have moved all their pharmacies all the way in. If the pharmacies were so prominent and able to give the publicity, let's not talk about bringing sales. Let's say you have a pharmacist who does a show and gets 3 million views with your company's logo right behind. 3 million people see the logo behind. You know how much money that is worth in advertising dollars? If that were the truth, they would put the pharmacy in front, which is what Unity's model was based on at the time when we were there. Pharmacies counter in front. But when you hide it at the corner and you decide that it is a department-based concept where whoever needs a pharmacist will eventually find a pharmacist. That becomes a problem. And organizations will shut you down if you cannot demonstrate your worth. And at that point in time, if you haven't done anything from now until then, you will cry. Because the law doesn't have to favor any profession. You think you're entitled to it? Let's just say I hope you reconsider that position. For all of you who are community pharmacists. and budding community pharmacists. Let's just talk about one final thing. Wow, very cheeky. For so long. Okay.
Imagine our past few days.
Sorry?
Imagine the past few days. You have been
Yeah.
cheeky for past few days.
Yeah. I mean, the more of these things that we hear, the frustration it is, because you realize that the things that you hear from a year one student 14 years ago when you first stepped into NUS Pharmacy, it hasn't changed. You think that you've done a good job in community. I think I've done a decent job in community, but the overall perception isn't changing. I'm not even saying that we are exceptional or we are saviors of the profession. I've never believed in that one person should carry the whole profession. I mean, just think about yourself, your job, individually. What it means for you, what it means for your satisfaction, what it means for your loved ones, and whether you love your job or not. The easy answer is always, not happy, then quit lor. And by the way, that's part of the truth. You can choose to stay, you can complain, you can change something about it, do something about it, or you can leave. All are fine. Just that for each of these options that you choose, there are certain implications that you will have to consider and handle. And for the record, I really don't think any of these options are wrong. If you feel that a community, this conversation, relationship building thing, it's not your cup of tea, it's perfectly fine to say that this is not for me, I want to try something different. It's okay. It's really, really okay. Because that's the frustration, that things really just haven't changed much. It feels like things haven't changed much. And sometimes when you perceive yourself to be giving it your best to build up people's impression of your role, like individually, and not just that, by the way, you try to build up every one of your other colleagues. People come to me and they say, wow, Sean, that was very good. Wow, I really enjoyed. Wow, this one good pharmacist. And I will say, a lot of my other colleagues can provide you with the same information. Yes, maybe my character is different. Maybe the way I come across is different. But you try to build everyone up. Yeah. And then you talk to other people and you start to look at what's happening in the landscape. And people say, oh, I'm introvert. This conversation thing is not my thing. Hello. Introvert means you're supposed to be a damn good listener, right?
Absolutely.
Right? You don't want, you're not extrovert, right? You're not going to be the life of the party, right? How about be the life of the relationship between you and the person you're speaking to? Ask a smart question, understand them at a deeper level. That's introvert, what? Okay. Last thing. People say, I didn't study 4 years for people to ask me where the cashier is or where's the toilet. Okay, I've had it many times in my life. It honestly never bothered me. Why do you think our friends are bothered?
I don't know. It never bothered me because if you know that I work into polyclinic, old people need the toilet very often. And they will always ask me where the toilet is. And I never felt like it is difficult to say, Auntie, you go straight, turn right, all the way to the right side. To me, it is basic human decency to ask and courtesy to provide such an advice. I don't think patients ask you such questions to trivialize your profession. They ask you out of convenience. And you also need to ask yourself, could it be that they didn't ask the cashier that question just because you're right beside you and you really needed the toilet? Have you been in a situation where you really needed the toilet? You don't care whether the person standing beside you is a minister. You ask the minister where the toilet is, right? Because you really need it. And do you know the reason why you don't know? Because you don't have the conversation with the person. I'm not asking you to have a conversation with the person. But what I'm just trying to say is that you don't know why they ask you. And no whether or not you are a professional, whether you're wearing a white coat, they can also ask you. They will ask any passerby just because it's convenient.
So you
It
think
is
that
not
just
that.
so are you saying that our friends think just because they are wearing the white coat that they are superior and all these other questions are beneath them?
I don't, perhaps maybe not say I don't say beneath them, but then I think they kind of created a facade that when I'm putting on my white coat, you can only ask me medical advice. And it's not. You are still a human being. People can still ask you basic questions. And why is it so difficult to say the cashier is in front, the cashier is to your right, the cashier is to your left? I don't know.
10
Why is it so
seconds of
difficult?
effort. Not 10 seconds. The cashier
1
is
second. Then
1 second of effort. And if you want to put in a little bit of effort, walk the person a few steps and say it's right there.
yeah. And people appreciate it. When you give them a dismissive reply, just there lah. How do you think the customer feels? Do you think you have created a good experience of them being in your store?
Maybe one of the things that now that you mentioned it, one of the things, reasons why it didn't bother me so much is because I've always saw my role as not just a clinical, medicinal expert. It's forming a relationship. Okay, let's not just keep talking about relationships, but it's providing an entire experience. It's the complete experience where your role is it's not just clinical or medical related. And operations comes into play. Right? You cannot separate the medical advice role and the operations bit of it. Yeah, I know we have patient care tracks or clinical tracks, whatever that means, and we have operation tracks. But when you're on the front, you're on the ground, the front line, you cannot separate it. What?
Yep.
Right? I mean, I've always seen it as providing the complete experience. And by the way, if they feel good because I am generous, I'm warm, I'm approachable, hey, guess what? If they have a medical query, where will they go? Right? And not because I want them to come to my store. And see, they might go to another pharmacist because they have that impression of what a pharmacist could be. And by the way, if you feel like you have no worth in the community, these are the starting points of your relationship. When they come to you, every conversation you have is an opportunity to make a difference in someone's life. It might not be immediate, but you're building the foundation of it. Yeah. Sounds tiring? Yeah. It's tiring. Dealing with humans is tiring. Dealing with emotions is tiring. But that's why we're in community.
Yep.
And I would say if we don't treasure this role, we will lose our place. If we don't move with the times, we will lose our place. And you will lose an excellent opportunity. Let's not talk about building the profession, but you lose your job because there's no more role. Right now, in an excellent position because pharmacies are spread across the entire island. Let's not talk about which company is where. You're spread across the entire island. There's no better place to go, man. Okay. Final thoughts, right? We've been talking about this for 2 sessions. We've heard a lot. I gotta say, we've been through a lot. If you had to leave our listeners with a final thought or a final piece of advice, bearing in mind that we have people from all the full range of ages or years of experience, what would be your message?
I think my message would be finding your relevance, finding your value in the healthcare landscape, and maintaining this relevance, keeping up with the times. Nothing is going to stay stationary. Everything change. Cliche, change is the only constant. You must change with it. Yep. That's my final thoughts for the day.
For me, I would say to take a step back and ask yourself, how do you actually see your job? If you define yourself, if you box yourself with the idea that I am a clinical medicinal expert, and that's the only thing I will do, you're missing a very, very big picture. All right, think about how, as a professional, we are providing the complete experience, not just clinical advice. Clinical advice is one part of it, important part of it, but not the only part of it. So if you come from the perspective of serving people, ask yourself what you can do to provide that complete experience. And by the way, don't sweat over the small stuff. Learn to work with everyone. For whatever you want to achieve in community, since this is a community conversation, for whatever you want to achieve in community, you can't do it alone. You have to learn to work with your patients, learn to work with other doctors, healthcare professionals. You have to learn to work with your staff who report to you. You have to learn to work with the janitors, your landlords, everything to provide that complete experience. And if you still don't believe that it's important to build these relationships, touch your heart and ask yourself where we are now. Right? Where we are right now, for however you see it, is a result of everything that we have done for the past 10, 20, however many number of years. That's the result. Okay, so let's look forward. What the landscape is going to be in the next 5 to 10 years depends on your actions and your thoughts right now. Stay the way we are, and we'll be gone from the community. And at that point in time, it might be too late. And I still think we have an opportunity.
Yep.
Thank you so much for joining us. What do you think? Have you enjoyed these 2 sessions? Have you enjoyed the thoughts? Should we bring Jasmine back sometime later and can continue talking about the
Or if you want to share your thoughts, please feel free to share them. And if you think there is a message that you really want to send out, why not come on the show, right?
Yeah, in essence, let's talk about it. Really, let's just talk about it. And let us know what you want to hear. Let us know what you want us to talk about. And in the meantime, we have other excellent interviews, conversations with experts in their own field. Right, the link is right below. If you enjoyed this episode, head on to the link, subscribe, and watch our other videos as well. Right, it's been a pleasure. We look forward to connecting with all of you on social media, on LinkedIn, through our emails, whatever works for you. Right. Talk to you guys soon. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.